Hi, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today I have for you a card that's going to carry on from the card that I did for you yesterday. So if you haven't seen this tutorial, you can go watch it first if you want, because the card I'm going to do today is going to build off of it. So the card features the new collection called the Butterfly Bouquet. It uses the stamp set and bundle Butterfly Brilliance. So starting March 2nd, if you're watching this the day the video posts, you can order the bundle. Now this bundle is the stamps and the dies, and they will be in the upcoming 2021, 2022. I have to think about the years. No matter how long it's in the 20s, it's still hard to say. You know, those of us that were like the 19s, those are just easier. I always have to think, what year is it? And then what year is it going to be? So the stamps and the dies will be in that catalog. But starting today, you can get two fabulous sets of paper that I'm not using on this card, or today's that's not on this card or the other. Oh, actually I did use it on this. So there's two papers, and I have several videos and information on my website, but the paper that goes with this, there's two, only can get it in March of this year or while supplies last. So if you love the paper or if you love the set, I have an online class that you can do. You can do it, you can get the full kit. You can get just the papers, and the videos will come, and you'll get the supplies to make 4 cards. So all of that information, I will put the link under the video. If you're watching it on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you can go to my class page. But when I did this yesterday, we used the Stamparatus only to make our background. So today we're going to use the Stamparatus to make another fun background, and we're going to step it up a bit. And we're also going to use the Stamparatus as a stamping platform, which is really what it's designed to be for. So first we are going to use it to make our little background, just because we're using water and it takes a second for it to dry. So I have some shimmer white cardstock, and that's what we're going to use again, because the shimmer white has a little bit of a coating on it, so it withstands that water. So I'm going to go with some fun pink colors. Went with the green yesterday to kind of kick off March, because, you know, if you're going to do a March card, you might as well use green. So I have Blushing Bride, Petal Pink, and So Saffron. So sometimes people ask how I chose my colors. Well, I'm not using any designer series paper, so it was just starting from scratch. Well, I wanted to use the foiling, which is gold, and then I looked over to see my ribbon, and this really pretty Blushing Bride ribbon has the gold in it. So I have started with Blushing Bride. So I got the Blushing Bride first, and then I just pulled in 2 more colors. So it was kind of just, you know, what went with Blushing Bride and what with the gold leafing. So what you're going to do today, yesterday we used the blending brushes, and today I'm just going to take this. I'm going to smack that on there because this is my focal color, the Blushing Bride. So I'm going to have the most of it. And I'm going to take Petal Pink and kind of just get it here. It's a lighter color. And then So Saffron. And do the same with it. Oops. Here. This is a little messy, but it's also very addicting, because you could just sit and make backgrounds all day. And at the end of the day, all you can have is a bunch of backgrounds. And then you're going to take our little spritzers. So those of you that did my winter retreat, everybody got a little spritzer, and we filled it with alcohol and shimmer paint. If you're done with that, just empty it out. Actually, we have refill in it too. I think we had Mambo or magenta, I think. But you can always just empty them out, but they're super inexpensive. So I just have a ton of them. This one's just my water one. So just spritz some water. I'm trying to get, especially where those lines are right there, see? You don't necessarily want the lines. You want it to look a little tie-dyed. So we have that. I'm going to let it, I did the same thing because I'm talking, I spray more water. When I'm doing it myself, I just spray a little bit. So now we're going to take this, and you can kind of see where the colors are. And like I said, I want more of the Blushing Bride. So I'm just going to lay this on there. And then I'm going to take just a piece of scrap paper. This time I had it ready. Last time I had to get it. So here's my last card. Here's this one. And I'm just going to kind of press. This time I'm not pressing as hard as I did last time, because there's more water, and look how pretty this is. Isn't that pretty? And you can see this little bit of water here. I'm going to hold that and let some of that yellow just run into there. And it kind of gives it an orange, because, you know, when you mix the pink and the yellow. There's not a whole lot of the petal pink over here, so I'm just going to lay that back down in there. Pick up a little bit more and see, it gives that nice little speckle effect. I do have speckles around the edges, and that's where the water kind of did that little spritzy thing. And then right here, I'm going to grab a little bit of that. And then I'm going to sit this aside and let it dry while we move on to our next step. Then to just clean this off, just take something wet and just wipe it off. It cleans off really well. That's why it's a great surface for doing these techniques, and I have several of them this month because it kind of ties in. Spring retreat registration is next month. It's going to be all online again. Maybe one day I'll be able to do them. I'm in Indianapolis, and maybe one day we'll do a live retreat again. But for right now, all online. But we are going to be doing different kind of things. No coloring at my spring retreat this time. So I'm kind of giving you an idea of things that we might be doing. We won't do these things because I've just done them. Get rid of that so it's not wet on the table. So now I'm going to use this to stamp. And the stamp in this set is giant, but we don't need all of those butterflies. So I'm going to use these bottom two. I'll just stick my magnet here to hold that in place. It doesn't matter. As long as it hits those bottom two, that's all that matters. I just wanted enough that I was going to get them. I'm going to use Versamark. So I'm going to use the heat and stick powder that comes with the gold leafing. And it's all in the January to June catalog. Some of it was on back order and some of it was on low inventory. But I think it's all back in now. So I'm just going to make sure I get these well. Now this is going to be a vintage looking card. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It's a great card to practice your technique on, because it is a little bit of a learning curve with this, but actually it's a perfect card to do it because it doesn't matter if it's perfect. So just make sure I put my magnet kind of in a bad spot, but that's okay. We'll get it. Just make sure you get those. And of course it's Versamark, so it's hard to tell when you lift up if you have it everywhere. So lift that up and then just kind of move it around in the light. Maybe press. There we go. And then we're going to heat this up with the heat and stick. So you need another piece of scrap paper. Not the same one you just put your water on because you want it to be dry. So the heat and stick looks just like embossing powder, but it's not embossing powder. If you heat for too long, then it doesn't work. That's where your learning curve comes in. And it's very hard to see. But you see, maybe you can't see. I have those bottom two butterflies. Just put this all back in here, although we're going to need it in just a second for our other card. But when I did my card, I didn't do it in this order. But because I'm letting it have more time to dry, because we're going to need all this again in a second. So here's a tip when you're using the heat and stick. Let your gun get hot first. So I'm going to turn this on. I wave my hand in front of it. Probably not the best idea in the world, but you do want it to get nice and hot. Because if you heat this too long, then it doesn't work anymore. You just want to heat it. If you can see, it's powdery. You just want to heat it till it goes not powdery, and then it's sticky. If it goes past that, then it doesn't stick. It's just heated and not stuck. So I'm going to aim it in one spot, let that change. And when it changes, just move right away from it. And this is why a nice vintage card like this is a good one to practice with, because, you know, when stuff's old and vintagey, and you should hear that like stick to your finger. But when it's old, you know, sometimes this stuff's worn off over time, and so we'll just blame it on that instead of the fact that sometimes we didn't heat it well. Now here's 2 vials of my gold leafing, but I've used it on a lot of stuff. So you stick it in here, and first you rub it on with your fingers. And it comes in these giant flakes, and it's a lot of fun to do. So you can see I've got it on my butterflies now, down here. And then just take a sponge or a brush or a sponge dauber and then rub it off. And this is the part where if you have not heated it well, then it will rub off, because you can see right here, I didn't get it. but it doesn't matter because it's vintage. And, you know, over the last 100 years that this butterfly has been on the card, it's just worn off. So that's why it's a nice little project to test on, because, you know, we want it to look vintage. Although I think all of the things that we put this on do have that vintage feel to them. So I have those. And then because the dies that come with this set are nice and spread out, you can go ahead and run them through the die machine. Sometimes if you do this technique, you wouldn't want to run them through the die machine because it would, it might cut them off or, like, you know, be on top of it. These are so spread out that it's fine. So I'm going to put them in my cut and emboss machine. And again, I just need these bottom two. So I'm laying those two up. I don't think I would do heat and stick on this whole giant stamp at once. It's just a lot of, that's a long time for your heat tool to be embossing something with the heat and stick because it's kind of fickle. And I think by the end, you would probably, it would be too hot. So I think 2, maybe 3. So I have my butterflies cut out. So now let's go back over to, and here's one I'll save. I've built up quite a little collection of cut out butterflies over there. So now we're gonna go back to our paper. Let me see if it's dry. Yeah, it's dry. Isn't that pretty? Again, matches my shirt. If you watched the other video, same day, I'm recording the same 2 of these. I'm gonna put it in the same folder. This is the paint folder that is in the current January to June mini catalog, and it is in the same suite as all of the leafing. So send this through here. My hands have leafing on them. I'm pretty sure that you could find some way to put this on your nails, because every time I do it, it gets on my nails. And again, this is what the addicting part is. You can just create such beautiful backgrounds with this. This one, again, on my first video that I did for you all with the other card earlier today, the talking video has more ink than when I wasn't talking because I spritzed more water. It's going to be the same thing on this one. So now for this, I want some gold. If you've been to Italy, it kind of reminds me of, you know, the places that you tour in Italy. And so this is, again, another perfect way to test to kind of learn how to use the heat and stick, because if it doesn't get everywhere, that's fine. I'm just going to rub some of this on here. I'm pressing hard enough that it's picking up those raised edges, but not hard enough that it's getting my whole card, because you don't want your whole card to cover up all that beautifulness that we just did. So I'm going to pour this on here. I'm going to knock it off, and I'm not pouring it on the whole thing either, so that way even if it got everywhere, it's not everywhere. So now again, I'm going to get my gun hot. I'm going to leave this here because if I see any place where I want to add some, then I'll add some more to it. So get my gun hot, and then I'm just going to put it in one spot and then move on. And I'm kind of just aiming it at those raised up areas because sometimes it hits the other areas, but if it wipes off afterwards, that's okay. And then I've got enough sticky, I think. So I know it's hard for you to see. I think there's some there I didn't get at all. That's sticky there, I think. Sometimes I can't see when I've got my lights on for filming. They're different than the lights I use for. I think we're good. And again, you don't want a ton of it because you just want highlights of gold. You don't want it to cover up all that pretty ink that you just added to the card. So put that back on there. Because, you know, sometimes my cats jump up on my table while I'm filming and they have spilled powders before. So I'm going to stick this in here and do the exact same thing. And just rub some of this on here. rub it on everywhere where you think you might have gotten powder. Just like this. And then you're going to take the brush. It always looks like you're going to have far more than you have when you brush it off. It has that fun Italian marble kind of look to it. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. So I had, you know, here's the thing. I started with that ribbon as my color, how I chose my colors, and then I almost didn't put the ribbon on it because this is so pretty. I almost didn't want to cover it, put anything else on top of it because that's just stunning, and it's really pretty in real life. So I know sometimes I tell you some cards, you know, you get a feel for it because you know what stamping looks like. There are other cards that you really do have to make to get an appreciation for how pretty they are in real life, and this is one of them. So now I have, this is not a color that's in my ink, but Rococo Rose is a dark version kind of the Blushing Bride. And look how pretty that, it just sets it all off. I didn't want any, I wanted the card to have a little bit of like a stable point and not continue to be so light. So I really liked the way that just kind of set it off. So because I wanted the ribbon on here because that's what I started with, and I did like the way that the gold played with the gold on here, but I didn't want to tie a bow. So what I did was I took my Seal Plus, because you're working with a lot of stuff on top of here, and just added some of that. And we're just going to do a bow, like, I mean, not a bow, just a ribbon. Did I get where? Yeah, that's where I got it. And then just take my scissors. I'll flip this on the back. There's just gold everywhere. And then when you put this on your card, you do want to make sure that you put an ample amount of adhesive because it has been wet and then it's been heated. So when it was just wet on the other one and we put it through the embossing folder, that kind of flattened it back out, but now it's been wet and then it's been heated. So it's kind of crooked again. I didn't hit that second thing of embossing ribbon very well. So get this all on here. Add that there again. I don't know where my other one is. It's missing. So that was just enough ribbon to kind of get it on here. But it didn't cover up my paper. See? I could almost stop again. And then I did want words on it. I wanted it to have words. I wanted it to be a sentiment card. So I took my little thing, and this is in several of my videos. So if you don't know what this is, you can search my videos for many messages, and you can see me making these and sometimes using them. I don't know that every time I use it, I tag it with that. So we have one giant stamp set, and then again, it's very similar to the butterfly die because it cuts out all of these at once. So every time I use it, the ones I don't use, I've just been sticking in here. So it's every kind of sentiment. Sometimes I've stamped them in white. Sometimes, one time apparently I stamped them in green on vanilla. I don't remember what card that was. One time I made tie-dye ones, which they're already colored. One time I just ran them through so I would have some like little backings. I almost put one of the rose ones on here. So I've just pulled out for this card the white Happy Anniversary. Now that's too stark. I don't like the white on there. But the very first time I think that I did these, my tip to you was to do them in white with black because you can take a blend. So I've got my So Saffron because that's the color up here. And as long as you have a blend and your brush tip, you have whatever color of cardstock you have in blend. Because once you color this, nobody knows that it's colored. They just think that, oh, you stamped that on some So Saffron cardstock, which we did not. And you can do it really as dark as you want. But as long as you do a nice even coat across it, it just looks like you used the cardstock. So if you do a whole white thing of your many messages, now we have a nice anniversary sentiment. Take our two little butterflies. And with the butterflies, I like to bend them and then adhere one side. And bend this. And we'll adhere that side. That way it gives them a little bit of lift, but even in the envelope, they'll press down and then they'll still have that little bit of lift when they take it out. I'm going to put my adhesive on this because if you're putting, and I'm using the Seal Plus, it just holds a little bit better on top of all of this leafing. Stick that there. Look how pretty. It's just almost too pretty to cover up. So I want this one on this side. Sometimes when I do this though, I do put my adhesive on the wrong side. Put that there. And then I also have my little thing of, which now they're not mixed up, but I keep, when my embellishments start to run low, I just start throwing them all in here. So actually this color would be pretty. Might not use the same ones I just used. So I pulled out ones that were kind of gold. And then, I mean, they get used up in here because it ends up that there's just a couple of them on here. I really liked this gold one. I know that might be too orange. So I guess I will go with the ones although this would be pretty. Maybe we'll look at that one. So I've got the gold. I think these are the only thing is I stick them in here and then I don't remember totally the names. I think these are the gold gems. Guess I do need to put this on here. And then these are the champagne rhinestones. And these are our gold pearls, which is what I used on the last card. Let's see, I think I might use one of these. And these are our opal rounds, and these are in the seashell suite. The friends are like seashells. Let's stick that one up there. And you know, I always tell you use 3, but I really liked the gold pearls on there. I'm gonna stop. It's already a little bit, it's not a more is more card really. Let's stick those back in there. So this, people have asked me about this. A girlfriend got it for me. I keep my glue dots on the other side and just my little thing of embellishments. They're right there on the table. So isn't this beautiful? Here's my other one. More because I'm talking, less because I was not, which is the exact same thing that happened last time. But I highly recommend if you are having issues with using your heat and stick powder to try it on a background. You can see this butterfly. I didn't do as well as I did the butterfly, either of these butterflies, but the overall card, because you're going for that vintage look, it looks fine. It's obviously a butterfly, but using your heat and stick powder to practice on these backgrounds is perfect for figuring out how sticky it needs to be. So pretty. It's so, so pretty. You have to make it in real life so you can see it. So if you're interested in doing my class with me, it's all online. You get everything mailed to you. The videos are private links, so you get those sent to you. And I will be posting the information for my spring retreat, which is going to be super fun. It's going to be some really unique projects. I'll be posting that information next week. So everybody have a great day, and I will see you back here later. Bye.